The stars had always been quiet for Captain Park. 20 years of service in the Korean Space Defense Corps had taught him that space was empty, cold, and boring. Most days were spent checking sensors, writing reports, and drinking bad coffee while his small patrol ship drifted through the darkness between Mars and the asteroid belt. That night started like any other. Sat in his captain's chair, watching the endless black through the main window. His crew of 12 worked silently at their stations. The ship hummed with the soft sound of machines doing their jobs. Nothing unusual, nothing exciting, just another patrol. Then the light came. It started as a small glow on the edge of the sensors. Private, the youngest member of his crew, noticed it first. She called out her voice confused. The light was getting bigger, and it was getting bigger fast. Stood up and walked to her station. The screen showed something impossible. A wall of white light was moving toward them at a speed that should not exist. No ship could move that fast. No natural event could create something like this. He opened his mouth to give an order. He never got the chance. The light hit them like a wave. It passed through the walls of the ship as if they were made of paper. It filled every corner, every room, every space. Felt it wash over him, warm and cold at the same time. He heard his crew screaming, but the sound seemed far away. His body felt light, then heavy, then nothing at all. When he woke up, everything had changed. Opened his eyes slowly. The ceiling above him was not metal, it was something else. It looked like crystal, but it moved. Colors flowed through it like rivers of light. He tried to sit up, but his body was weak. His muscles felt like water. He was lying on a flat surface in the middle of a large room. The walls were the same as the ceiling, made of that strange moving crystal. There were no windows, no doors that he could see. The air smelled different here. Sweet like flowers, but also sharp like medicine. He was alone. His crew was gone. His ship was gone. Everything he knew was gone. Forced himself to stand. His legs shook, but they held him. He was still wearing his uniform. His boots were still on his feet, but his weapons were missing. His communication device was missing. Everything useful had been taken. A sound made him turn around. Part of the wall was opening. It did not slide or swing like a normal door. It simply melted away, creating an opening where solid wall had been moments before. Through the opening came creatures that had never seen before. They were tall, much taller than any human. Their skin was silver, and it seemed to glow softly from inside. They had 4 arms instead of 2. Their eyes were large and bright, filled with lights that shifted and changed color. There were 3 of them. They wore armor that looked like it was made from the same crystal as the walls. They carried weapons that did not recognize. They moved with perfect grace, like dancers or predators. One of them stepped forward. It spoke, and somehow understood the words, even though they came out as sounds he had never heard before. "Human, you are awake. Good. The Queen is waiting." His heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. He had been trained for difficult situations. He had been trained to stay cool when everything was falling apart. He had not been trained for this, but the same rules applied. Show no fear. Give nothing away. "Where am I?" he asked. His voice was steady. "Where is my crew?" The creature tilted its head. Its eyes flickered with what might have been interest. "Your small ones are safe. They will be returned to your world. You have been chosen. Only you." "Chosen for what?" "The Queen will explain. Come." They did not give him a choice. 2 of the creatures moved to his sides and they began walking. Walked with them. Fighting was pointless. He had no weapons, no knowledge of where he was, no way to escape. His only option was to learn, to watch, to wait. They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The crystal walls showed images as they passed. Saw planets he did not recognize. He saw fleets of ships that made his patrol vessel look like a toy. He saw beings of 100 different shapes and sizes, all of them alien, all of them strange. And he saw cages. They passed through a section of the ship where thousands of cells lined the walls. Inside the cells were creatures from across the galaxy. Some of them were huge, with scales and claws. Some of them were small, with too many eyes and not enough limbs. Some of them looked almost human, but not quite. All of them looked broken. They stared at as he passed. Some of them whispered. Some of them cried. One of them, a being with pale blue skin and long fingers, pressed its hand against the crystal wall of its cell. "The queen consumes," it said. "The queen breaks. No one returns from her chamber whole, no one." The guards pushed forward. He did not look back. But he remembered the words. He would not forget them. Whatever was waiting for him, whatever this queen wanted, made himself a promise. He was Korean. He was military. He had faced death before and walked away. He would walk away from this too. Or he would die trying. The throne room was nothing like had imagined. He had expected walls. He had expected a ceiling. He had expected something that made sense. Instead, he walked into space itself. The floor beneath his feet was solid, but everything else was open to the stars. Above him, around him, the universe stretched in every direction. Nebulae of purple and gold swirled slowly in the distance. Stars burned like tiny fires scattered across black cloth. Planets hung in the darkness, some close enough that could see their clouds and oceans. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It made him feel smaller than he had ever felt in his life. The guards stopped at the entrance. One of them pointed forward with two of its 4 arms. "Walk, the queen waits." Walked. The floor was a narrow path of crystal that led toward the center of this impossible room. On either side of the path there was nothing, just empty space. One wrong step and he would fall into forever. He kept his eyes forward. He kept walking. At the end of the path sat a throne made of light. It changed shape constantly, flowing from one form to another like water that had learned to hold still. And on that throne sat the queen. Had seen the silver creatures in the corridors. He had thought they were impressive. The queen made them look ordinary. She was tall even while sitting. Her skin was not simply silver. It shifted colors as he watched, flowing through shades of blue and purple and gold like oil floating on water. Her 4 arms rested on the sides of her throne, and each finger was long and graceful. Her eyes were the most striking thing about her. They were huge, taking up half of her face, and they glowed with a light that seemed to come from somewhere far away. She was ancient, could feel it. Looking at her was like looking at a mountain or an ocean. She had existed long before him, and she would exist long after he was gone. She was also beautiful. Beautiful in a way that made his chest hurt. Beautiful in a way that felt dangerous. "Human," she said. Her voice did not come from her mouth. It came from everywhere. It came from the stars themselves. It wrapped around like warm water and cold wind at the same time. "Park of Earth, you are confused." Stood straight. He would not show fear. He would not bow. He had not been told to, and he would give nothing away that he did not have to give. "I have been taken from my ship," he said. "My crew has been taken from me. I do not know where I am or why I am here. Yes, I am confused." The guards behind him made sounds of anger. They stepped forward, reaching for their weapons. But the queen raised one hand and they stopped immediately. "Interesting," she said. Her lips curved into something that might have been a smile. "Most creatures that stand before me cannot speak. Fear takes their words, but you speak clearly. You even sound angry." "I am angry," admitted. "But anger is useless without information, so I am waiting for you to explain." The queen laughed. The sound was strange and wonderful, like wind moving through crystal bells. It echoed through the throne room and faded into the stars. "Your species is fascinating," she said. "We have watched you for a long time, 300 of your years. We have seen your wars, your diseases, your endless fighting with each other over land and ideas and things that do not matter. We have seen you almost destroy yourselves again and again." She stood from her throne. She moved like water flowing downhill, smooth and perfect. Each step brought her closer to. The path was narrow, but she walked without fear. She had probably never feared anything in her long, long life. By every measure we use, she continued, your species is weak. You live short lives. Your bodies break easily. Your technology is primitive. A single one of my ships could destroy your entire planet in an afternoon. She stopped in front of him. Standing, she was 3 meters tall, had to tilt his head back to look at her face. This close, he could see that her skin was not smooth. Tiny patterns moved across it, like words in a language he could not read. And yet, the Queen said softly, you survive, you always survive. We have watched your species face extinction over and over. Asteroids, ice ages, plagues, wars, things that would have ended any other young species, but humans refuse to die. She leaned down. Her face was close to his now. Her eyes filled his vision, glowing with colors he had no names for. You adapt, you change, you find ways forward when there should be no way. You are chaos given form, and I want to know how. Met her gaze. His heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat, but his voice stayed steady. You brought me here to ask how humans survive. You could have just sent a message. The Queen straightened. For a moment, something passed across her face, something that looked almost like pain. No, she said, a message would not be enough. I need more than information, Park. I need understanding. And for that, I need you. She turned and walked back toward her throne. The stars wheeled slowly around them, ancient and uncaring. Come, she said, sit with me. I have much to tell you, and when I am finished, you will understand why I brought you here. She gestured, and a second seat rose from the crystal floor beside her throne. I think, she added quietly, you will be very surprised. Looked at the seat. He looked at the Queen. He thought about the creatures in the cages, broken and afraid. He thought about the words they had whispered. Then he walked forward and sat down. Whatever came next, he would face it with open eyes. Sat in the crystal chair and waited. The Queen settled onto her throne, her 4 arms folding gracefully across her lap. For a long moment she said nothing. She simply looked at the stars that surrounded them, her glowing eyes distant and sad. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, softer, tired. My people are called she began. We have existed for longer than your species can imagine. When humans were still living in caves, learning to make fire, we were already traveling between the stars. When your first cities rose from the mud, we had already conquered 1,000 worlds. She gestured at the space around them. This ship alone is older than your entire civilization. It has seen empires rise and fall. It has watched stars be born and die. It has carried my ancestors across distances that your minds cannot hold. Listened. He did not interrupt. He could feel that something important was coming. We achieved perfection, the Queen continued, or what we believed was perfection. 3 million years ago, we mastered our own biology. We removed disease. We removed weakness. We removed aging. A can live forever if nothing kills them. Our bodies are strong. Our minds are sharp. We have no flaws. She paused, her eyes closed for a moment. And that is exactly the problem. Frowned, I do not understand. How is perfection a problem? The Queen opened her eyes. When she looked at him, saw something he had not expected to see in the face of such a powerful being. He saw despair. When you remove struggle, she said, you remove growth. When you remove challenge, you remove the reason to try. When you remove death, you remove the urgency to live. She stood and walked to the edge of the crystal path. Below her feet, galaxies turned in the endless dark. My people are dying, Park, not from war, not from plague. We are dying because we have forgotten how to want anything. She turned to face him. Think about it. What drives a creature forward? Need, desire, fear, hope, the knowledge that time is limited, the understanding that failure is possible. These things push life to grow, to create, to become more than it was. Her voice grew heavy. We have none of these things. We cannot die of age, so we do not value our days. We cannot fail, so we do not try new things. We cannot lose, so winning means nothing. Our art has become empty. Our science has stopped advancing. Our people no longer fall in love because love requires risk, and risk requires something to lose. She spread her 4 arms wide. We have conquered 47 star systems. We have defeated every enemy. We have solved every problem. And now we sit in our perfect ships, in our perfect bodies, and we wait for the end. Because without struggle, without purpose, existence becomes a prison. Sat in silence, trying to understand what he was hearing. The most powerful species in the galaxy was asking for help, not because they were weak, but because they were too strong. Your population, he said slowly. You said you are dying. What does that mean exactly? The Queen's face grew darker. Our birth rate has fallen to almost nothing. Why bring new life into a universe where there is nothing to do? Our young ones grow up with no challenges to face, no mountains to climb, no dreams to chase. They become bored. They become empty. Many of them simply choose to stop existing. They walk into the void between stars and never return. She sat back down on her throne. Her shoulders, usually so straight and proud, seemed to sag. I am old, Park. I have ruled for 200,000 years. I have seen my people go from burning with purpose to becoming shadows of what we once were. I have tried everything. New wars, new projects, new worlds to explore. Nothing works. Nothing can recreate the fire that once drove us forward. She looked at him with those ancient, glowing eyes. And then we found Earth. Felt a chill run down his spine. You found us. Yes, a small planet, a young species, weak, fragile, primitive by our standards. We expected nothing from you. We planned to ignore you like we ignore most young races. The Queen leaned forward. But you were different. You fought wars over ideas, not resources, not territory, ideas. You created art that served no purpose except to make you feel. You loved each other with such intensity that you destroyed yourselves over it. You failed again, and each time you got back up and tried again. Her voice grew strong. You are everything we have lost. You are chaos. You are passion. You are alive in a way that we have forgotten how to be. His mind was spinning. He thought about Earth. He thought about all the pain and suffering, all the wars and hatred, all the terrible things humans had done to each other. He had always seen these as weaknesses, failures, things to be ashamed of. But the Queen saw them as treasures. What do you want from me? He asked. From us. The Queen's eyes met his. I want you to teach us how to feel again, teach us how to struggle, teach us how to want something so badly that it hurts, teach us how to be alive. She reached out one of her hands toward him. Help me save my people, Park, and in return I will give humanity everything. Our technology, our knowledge, our protection. The entire galaxy will open for your species. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Please, we are the most powerful beings in existence, and we are begging you for help. Stared at her hand. He thought about his wife, dead for 3 years. He thought about the pain that still lived in his chest. He thought about all the times he had wanted to give up but kept going anyway. Maybe that pain was not a weakness after all. Maybe it was the most valuable thing he had. Did not take the Queen's hand. Not yet. He needed to think. He needed to understand what she was really asking. He stood up from his chair and walked to the edge of the crystal path. Below him, a blue planet turned slowly in the darkness. It was not Earth. The continents were wrong, but it was beautiful in the same way Earth was beautiful. You want me to teach you how to feel, he said. But I am just one man. I am not a philosopher. I am not a teacher. I am a soldier. I follow orders and I protect my people. That is all I know how to do. The Queen watched him carefully. You are more than that. We have studied you, Park. We have files on every human who has traveled into space. We know their histories, their secrets, their pain. His body went stiff. He did not turn around. We know about your wife, the Queen continued. Her voice was gentle, but the words cut like knives. She died 3 years ago. A shuttle accident. The fuel system failed. She was 34 years old. His hands closed into fists. Stop. You were going to have a child together. She was pregnant when she died. 3 months. You had not told anyone yet. It was supposed to be a surprise. I said stop. His voice shook. The Queen fell silent for a moment. Then she spoke again, softer than before. After she died, you almost ended your own life. You stood on the roof of your building for 4 hours. You looked at the ground and thought about falling. Your mother called you. She said she was making your favorite soup. She said she needed help carrying the groceries. His eyes burned. He had never told anyone about that night. No one knew. No one was supposed to know. You went to help her, the Queen said. And you never stood on that roof again. Instead, you returned to duty. You volunteered for the most dangerous missions. You threw yourself into your work. You found a reason to keep living. She rose from her throne and walked toward him. Her footsteps made no sound on the crystal floor. That is why I chose you. Not because you are strong. Not because you are brave. Because you touched the darkest place a person can go and you chose to come back. You know what it means to lose everything and still find a reason to stand up the next morning. She stopped beside him. Together, they looked at the blue planet below. That is what my people have lost, she said quietly. The ability to fall and get back up. The ability to hurt and keep going. You are not just a soldier, Park. You are proof that pain does not have to destroy. It can build. Was quiet for a long time. The memories of moved through his mind like ghosts. Her laugh, her smile, the way she hummed while cooking breakfast, the empty side of the bed that still felt wrong after 3 years. He had learned to live with the pain. He had never learned to let it go. If I agree to help you, he said finally, what exactly do you expect me to do? The Queen turned to face him. Stay with us. Live among my people. Share your experiences. Help us understand why humans keep fighting when the universe gives them every reason to stop. In time, we will bring more of your kind here. Artists, musicians, poets, teachers, people who can show us what we have forgotten. And in return, humanity receives everything we have. Our technology will make your ships fast enough to reach any star. Our medicine will cure your diseases. Our weapons will protect you from any threat. Your species will jump forward 1,000 years in a single generation. She paused. And you will no longer be alone in the universe. You will have allies, true allies, a partnership between our species that will last for ages. Thought about Earth. He thought about all the problems his planet faced. The wars, the poverty, the slow death of the environment. He thought about what technology could do. Clean energy, medical miracles, a chance for humanity to survive its own mistakes. But he also thought about the cost, leaving Earth behind, leaving everything he knew, becoming a teacher for an alien race that he did not understand. What if I refuse? He asked. The Queen did not look angry. She did not look disappointed. She simply looked tired. Then I return you to your ship. Your crew will be released. You will go back to your patrols and your reports and your bad coffee, and my people will continue our slow fall into darkness. She reached out and touched his shoulder. Her hand was warm. Her fingers were gentle. I will not force you, Park. Forcing you would defeat the purpose. What I need cannot be taken. It can only be given. You must choose to help us. Otherwise, your help means nothing. Closed his eyes. He thought about what she would say if she were here. She had always believed in helping others. She had always believed that people could change, even people who seemed hopeless. Maybe especially people who seemed hopeless. He opened his eyes. He turned to face the Queen. If I do this, he said, I need to contact Earth. I need to explain what is happening. and I need to bring people here myself. People I choose, people I trust." The Queen's face changed. The tiredness faded. Something like hope appeared in her glowing eyes. "You would do this." Took a deep breath. He thought about the pain in his chest. He thought about all the mornings he had woken up and wondered why he should bother getting out of bed. Then he thought about the mornings when he had gotten up anyway. "Yes," he said, "I will help you." He reached out and took her hand. "But I am going to need to make some calls first." For the first time, Queen smiled. It was a real smile, a smile that touched her eyes and made her look, for just a moment, almost human. "Thank you," she whispered, "thank you." And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, something new began. 6 months passed. 6 months of messages and meetings and arguments that crossed the space between stars. 6 months of politicians shouting and scientists crying and ordinary people looking up at the sky with wonder and fear. The news had changed everything. Humanity was not alone, and the most powerful civilization in the galaxy wanted their help. Some people celebrated, some people prayed, some people built bunkers and prepared for war, but in the end, the decision was made. Earth would send a delegation to the 50 people chosen to represent the best of humanity. Had been given the job of choosing them. He did not pick generals or presidents. He did not pick the rich or the famous. Instead, he picked the dreamers, the artists and musicians who created beauty from nothing, the poets who found words for feelings that had no names, the teachers who knew how to open minds, the ordinary people who had faced extraordinary pain and found the strength to keep going. Among them was Lieutenant. She was a military psychologist, 31 years old, with sharp eyes and a quick smile. She had been his choice from the beginning. He had read her file and seen something special. She had spent her career helping soldiers recover from trauma. She knew how to guide broken people back to wholeness. If anyone could teach the how to feel again, it was her. The ship that carried the delegation was a vessel, but it had been modified for human passengers. Smaller seats, lower ceilings, gravity adjusted to Earth levels. They had thought of everything. They wanted their guests to be comfortable. Stood in the landing bay of watching the ship descend through clouds of gold and silver. The planet was beautiful beyond words. Cities floated in the sky, held up by forces that human science could not explain. Rivers of light flowed between the towers. Music seemed to come from the air itself. And everywhere they watched. Thousands of them had gathered to see the humans arrive. Their silver faces showed no expression but could feel their attention, their curiosity, their desperate hidden hope. Queen stood beside him. She wore robes of flowing light that changed color with her mood. Today they were soft blue, peaceful, happy. "They are really here," she said quietly. "After all this time, after all these years of watching from far away, your people have come to us." "They came because you asked," replied, "and because you offered them something worth having. Technology, protection, resources." The Queen shook her head. "We have given these things to other species before. They took what we offered and feared us from a distance. But your people are different. They came to help." The ship touched down. The doors opened, and 50 humans walked onto alien soil for the first time in history. Was among the first. She wore her military uniform, but she had added a bright scarf around her neck, a splash of color among all the gray and silver. She walked with confidence, her eyes taking in everything around her. When she reached, she stopped and gave a salute that was slightly too casual. Her smile was warm. "Captain Park, I read all your reports during the trip. You really told an alien queen that her entire civilization needed therapy." Almost laughed. "I told her that her people needed humanity. Therapy is just where we start." Queen stepped forward. She towered over, but the young psychologist did not seem afraid. She simply looked up at the alien monarch with open curiosity. "You are," the Queen said, "the one who heals broken minds, speaks highly of you." I do my best, Your Majesty, though I have to admit treating an entire civilization is a new challenge, even for me. The Queen tilted her head. You are not afraid of us. Should I be? Most creatures who meet us are terrified. We are large, we are powerful, we have conquered worlds. Shrugged. With respect, Your Majesty, I have spent 10 years working with soldiers who have seen terrible things. I have sat with people who were so broken they could not remember their own names. Fear does not help anyone heal, so I choose not to be afraid. The Queen stared at her for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised everyone watching. She laughed, a real laugh full of surprise and delight. I understand now, she said too. I understand why you chose her. The humans spread out across the. They went to the floating cities and the crystal gardens and the ancient libraries that held knowledge older than Earth itself. They shared their music. They shared their stories. They shared the messy, painful, beautiful truth of what it meant to be human. It was not easy. They had forgotten how to feel, and feelings could not be taught like facts from a book. There were misunderstandings. There were failures. There were moments when it seemed like the gap between the two species was too wide to cross. But they kept trying. Held group sessions where learned to talk about their emptiness. Musicians played songs that made the silver-skinned aliens weep for the first time in centuries. Poets wrote verses about loss and love and hope, and they discovered that words could touch places that nothing else could reach. Slowly things began to change. A young painted a picture. It was clumsy and strange, but it was the first original art I had created in 10,000 years. Two fell in love, real love with all its risks and fears and wild hopes. A child was born, the first child in longer than anyone could remember. Watched it all happen. He watched the people he had brought make a difference in ways that technology and power never could. He watched them wake up from their long sleep and remember what it meant to be alive. One evening, Queen found him standing on a balcony overlooking the golden clouds. You saved us, she said. Shook his head. We showed you the door, you had to walk through it yourselves. The Queen smiled. It was a warm smile now, full of life. Perhaps, but you gave us something we could not give ourselves. You gave us a reason to try. She looked out at the sky. Somewhere up there, Earth was turning, a small blue planet that had given the galaxy its greatest gift. In the end, she said softly, the universe did not need our strength or our technology. It needed your chaos, your passion, your beautiful, stubborn refusal to accept that survival was enough. She turned too. Her eyes glowed with colors that seemed warmer than before. You taught us how to feel, and we will never forget. He thought about the pain that had almost destroyed him. He thought about all the ways that pain had led him here to this moment, to this impossible miracle. He smiled. Neither will we, he said. And together they watched the stars come out, burning bright against the darkness. It was only the beginning.